let's go ahead and create an indexer post processor. So I've already cleaned up my environment here. I even cleared out the console, right? Taking care of some of the easy things here. So again, we're creating an indexer post processor. So let's head up to File up here at the top left, followed by New, and then Liferay module project. From here, we got to give our project a name. So let's go ahead and let's call it something simple, something like user indexer post processor, something like that. Again, feel free to use whatever sort of name you'd like. Making sure that Gradle and Liferay 7.1 are the defaults here. And then for our template, what I'm going to do is there's a couple different ways you can approach this. And so the way I'm going to approach it is I'm going to, let's go ahead and we'll create a API project. So we're going to use the API template as a generic template. So we'll select API. I'll go ahead and click next. And then the only field I'm going to fill out here is going to be the package. So com Liferay training, right? User indexer post processor. All right, so just going to keep the package relatively simple there. com.liferay.training.user indexer post processor. Once you're all good with that, let's go ahead and click finish. All right, so we've created the project here. Now, next up, we're going to clean up the project a little bit. So we're going to first, there it is. So user indexer post processor, going to open it up, heading over to source main Java. And then we're going to refactor the package name here. So I'll right click the package, heading over to refactor, followed by rename. And we're going to get rid of that API portion. So once we get rid of the API portion, go ahead and click OK, and then continue. So OK, followed by continue. Once you're all good to go there, next up, we have to clean up the bnd.bnd file. So let's head down here to the bnd.bnd, and we have that package being exported by default. That's just the nature of the API project. So we can select the export packages and then click on the remove or the red X to remove the API package, right? Since it doesn't exist anymore. Make sure to save along the way. So we'll click on the floppy disk up here at the top left. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the interface inside of the package here. So I'll expand out the package and then we'll delete the interface. Right, so now that we have our package all cleaned up, next thing we have to do is actually configure our build.gradle. So let's head down here to the build.gradle. And we need to include our portal kernel. Since the indexer post processor is a part of Liferay, we need to include our Liferay dependency. So I'm going to be including it, including the actual portal kernel jar, just as we've done before. So this is over in the bundles folder, tomcat dash, there we go, 9.0.6, and then this is lib ext portal kernel.jar. All right, once we have that, go ahead and perform your Gradle refresh, and we'll keep an eye on it down at the bottom right. I'll expand out my project and external dependencies. I'm just waiting for the dependency to end up there. So we see it there. Next up, let's go ahead and head back over to our source main Java. We're going to right click the package com Liferay training user indexer post processor, heading over to new, and we're going to be creating a new class. The name of this class is going to be user indexer post processor. And let's go ahead and add the interface, clicking on the add button. And then the interface is going to be called indexer post processor, like so. So we'll go ahead and add that. And then finally, let's go ahead and click finish. So once we click finish, we'll see all of the unimplemented methods are ready to go. First thing we need to do though is we need to make this a component. Whenever we implement something in Liferay, more often than not, we want to make it a component along the way. So adding the component annotation, right? And then we'll use Control-Shift-O to bring in the proper dependency there. Right. We need to add a couple of properties or a couple of attributes here. So following Liferay convention, we always set immediate equals to true. AOSGI container, start the component up as fast as you can or immediately. Next up is the property element here using curly braces. And this next line is not necessary since we are already directly implementing our interface, but we at Liferay, we like to be explicit with it. Right, so there we go. Within the property attribute, we need to set one property. So the property that we're going to be setting is the indexer class name. There we go. So what is it that we are modifying the index of? So we're going to be modifying the user. So com Liferay portal kernel model user. All right, and again, at any time, if I'm going a little bit fast, feel free to pause the video. So once you have that typed out, go ahead and save along the way. Right, once we have that, we're going to be implementing two methods specifically. So the first method we're going to be implementing is going to be the post process document. Right, so post process document is right here. And I'm going to change these arguments here. It sounds a little bit tacky to call it arg0 and arg1. So we'll just call it what it is. This will be our document object, and then this will be our object. We can actually shorten that to obj. We'll remove this to do here, and let's implement the post process document. So again, the document is what's being sent off to the search engine. So let's just confirm that we actually make it to the method here, and we can say inside of post process document. Right, just to confirm we made it. Next up, we are going to get our user object. So to do that, I'm going to typecast the object as a user. And then we'll use Control-Shift-O to bring in our import for the user. Right. And what we're doing with this post processor is we want to be able to search for our users based off of their gender. So in this example, we're going to be searching for the male gender. All right, so we'll start off with this integer called male, like so. Right, and then we're going to check to see. It sounds a little bit funny. But we're going to check the user to see if the user is male. Luckily, this is done in code. Okay. So if the user is male, we're going to set the integer male to 1. Okay. And then for the document that's being sent off to our search engine, we're going to be adding that specific number. So we're going to be adding the term male, right? And then argument or the value is that integer right there. And then let's make sure to save along the way. So that takes care of getting the gender indexed, at least for the male. Now, what about searching? So next up in order to search, we're looking for that post-process search query. We're looking for the one that has 2 parameters. So it's going to be this one right here. So first, let's double check that. I have a little bit of doubt here. But yeah, it looks good. So again, arg0, arg1 is a little bit tacky. And so for the Boolean query, we actually call this the search query itself. And then for the search context, we'll just call it just that, the search context. We'll get rid of the to-do right here, right? And then let's start off by confirming that we've made it into the method. So inside of post-process search query. All right. Next up, we're going to be, so next up, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the keywords that are coming from the search context itself. So we're going to have a string called keywords, and that's going to be from the search context object, and we're going to be getting the keywords. Next up, we need to do a check on the keywords. We need to confirm that there is something in those keywords. Okay, so we're doing a check to see if the keywords is null. I have a bad habit with that, with my if statements there. And let's do it more like this. So we'll return if there are no keywords, if keywords is null. Okay. All right, next up. All right, so search. So the search query object itself. First thing we're going to do is a little bit something extra. We're going to be adding the user ID. And so we're going to be adding the functionality to get the users, to search for the user based off of their user ID. So whatever the end user types within that search bar, right, we're going to be adding the user ID as something that we can search for. So let's make sure everything here is okay. Let me take a look here at this error. This is supposed to be search context. That's my fault. Search context. There we go. That's much better. And then this is add keyword, add term. Sorry about that. All right, so looks better there. All right, next up, we're going to do a couple checks on our keywords. So if keywords contains, for example, the term boys, right? Or maybe we use a different term for it. So if keywords contains, right, let's do men, and then we'll keep it simple like that. Right, and then we'll do the, so if that is true within our search query, we're going to add the term, male, there we go. And then we're going to be passing 1. Right, so we're looking for the search term or the term male within the search index document and seeing if that value is 1. If it is, that means it's a hit. We're going to get it as a result. Right, we're also going to be searching for the user ID, and then what we're looking for is the keywords within the search context, or in other words, whatever it is that we enter within the search bar. So let's go ahead and deploy and test this out. So user indexer post processor, I'll head over to build and then deploy. Let me make sure to save first. There we go. So let's go ahead and deploy now. Once I've saved, right, and then work from there. All right, so it looks like we're good to go. Heading back over to our Liferay instance. Right, I'm going to go ahead and start off by creating a user. So over in the control panel, under users, followed by users and organizations, we're going to be creating a new user. So clicking on the plus button over here on the right hand side, and we're going to make the user, I'll make my official user here, right? This is me. All right, male, all good there. And then I'll go ahead and click save. So we'll head back over to users and organizations. We can search for boys and we can search for men. So it looks good there. Very good, right? We're able to search for men, right? And boys, and we have the user show up, right? We would have to save again for the other users to have that re-indexed. But otherwise, again, a very simple example of an indexer post processor.